today's lesson is on direct and inverse variation. So we'll start with direct variation. Tiffany has a babysitting business and is paid $10 per hour. The following table represents the amount of money Tiffany makes for different lengths of work. So number one, as the number of hours increases, what happens to the amount Tiffany makes? What do we think? All right, it increases as well. In the first column, what is the value of y divided by x? First of all, what's y in the first column? 10. What is x? 1. What's 10 divided by 1? 10. Okay. In the second column, what is the value of y divided by x? How do you get that? 20 divided by 2. In every column, what is the value of y divided by x? 10. This is direct variation. As one variable goes up, what happens to the other variable? It goes up. If one variable is going down, what happens to the other one? It should go down, okay? The variables x and y vary directly for a constant k, given this formula, y equals k times x. Y equals k times x. K is called the constant of variation. As x gets larger, y gets larger by a constant amount, or, that's what we just talked about, as x gets smaller, y gets smaller by the constant amount. So in this example up here, what do you think k is? 10, all right? For each one, if you multiply by 10, you get the other row. So in the babysitting example, the value of k is 10. For direct variation, k equals y over x. So you only need to memorize this formula, and then you can manipulate it however you want. So this is the direct variation formula. We'll be using it all week. Y equals k times x. If you want to get k by itself, what do you have to do? Divide by x. So that's what they've done here. So to get k by itself, it's y divided by x. So if you're asked for k, you're just solving that equation, okay? All right, example number 1. The variable y varies directly with x. When x is 4, y is 6. Find the constant of variation and then write the equation that relates y and x. What will the graph look like? Okay, so here's our first sentence. The variable y varies directly with x. So step 1, you're going to write down the formula. What is the formula for direct variation? All right, y equals kx. And you're going to plug in the numbers they give you. What numbers do they give you first? X is 4. And what is 6? Y. So we're plugging in 6 for y. It says find the constant of variation. What do they mean by that? Find the constant of variation. Find k. Solve it for k. So your constant of variation is k. So how do we solve this for k? What do we do? Divide both sides by 4. 6 over 4 will reduce to what? 3 over 2. All right, so that is your constant of variation. K equals 3 over 2. Says then write the equation that relates y and x. So that's step 2, writing your equation. Y equals, we're going to plug in for k. What did we just find k to be? 3. So that is the equation. Y equals 3 over 2x. So we're not doing anything more with that at the moment. That's your equation for this specific example. What will the graph look like? What kind of graph does this make? Anybody? Linear, quadratic, rational? Linear, very good. It's going to be linear. What's your slope? 3 over 2. What's your y-intercept? 0. Your y-intercept is whatever you're adding or subtracting. Are you adding or subtracting anything? No. Okay. Any questions? All right. This one says you try the variable y relates directly with x. When x is 5, y is 10. Find the constant of variation and then write the equation that relates y and x. What will the graph look like? All right, so for step 1, what are we writing? Good. And that is because it says varies directly. So that's your formula, y equals kx. All right, what are we doing next? What? All right, plugging in the numbers. So y is 10 and x is 5. So what does that give us? K is 2. All right. Then it says write the equation that relates y and x. Somebody who hasn't answered, what would step 2 look like? Good, y equals 2x. That's the equation. And somebody else who hasn't answered, what kind of graph will that make?
Linear.
What do you think direct variation, what kind of graph will it always have?
Linear.
Linear, okay, always. All right, example 2, the variable y varies directly with x. So as soon as I read that, I could write down y equals kx. As soon as I read that, as soon as I know y varies directly with x. When x is 3, y is 12. Find y when x equals 2. So this one has some an extra step it's asking us to do. All right, so the first numbers they give us is x is 3 and y is 12. So y is 12 and x is 3. So divide both sides by 3. So what is k? 4. Okay, so you always have to find k. You always have to do that first. Then you're writing your equation y equals, somebody who hasn't answered, what's my equation going to be? Thank you. Y equals 4x. All right, for this one, for step 3, we're going to look and see what they're asking us to do. It says find y when x equals 2. So we're going to use this formula and find y, but I know what x is. What is x? 2. So what is y going to be? 8. Okay, pretty simple. Pretty simple stuff today. Y equals x. All right, you try. The variable y relates directly with x. When x is 6, y equals 9. Find y when x equals 12. All right, step 1. What am I writing down? Good. Y equals kx. All right, somebody else help me out. What am I doing? Good. Plugging in the numbers. So x is 6. Y is 9. You're going to get a fraction on this one. How does 9 over 6 reduce? 3 over 2 again. Okay. All right, what is my equation going to be? Good, y equals 3 over 2x. And for step 3, what do I need to do for that? Good, thank you. Plug in 12 for x. If you do that without a calculator, you would do 3 times 12, which is 36 divided by 2, 18. Y equals 18. All right, guys, you're welcome to work ahead on these. You try. The variable y varies directly with x. As soon as I read that sentence, I can write down y equals kx. When x is 12, y is 4. So plug in my numbers. 4 equals k times 12. Divide both sides by 12. Get another fraction. 4 over 12 reduces to 1/3. So my equation is y equals 1/3 x. All right, on this one it's a little different. What number do they give us? Y is 5. So what number what letter am I trying to get by itself? X. How do you get rid of the 1/3? You could divide by 1/3 on both sides, or you could multiply by the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal of 1/3? 3. Or you can multiply by 3. So X is 15. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Part 2, inverse variation. John is assembling a team to complete a construction job. It takes him 12 hours to complete the job by himself. The following table represents the number of hours it takes to complete the job based on the total number of workers he hires to help him. Answer these questions. As the number of workers increases, what happens to the number of hours it takes to complete the job? Does that make sense? If you're trying to paint your house, the more people who show up, theoretically, should it take less time? Theoretically. Okay. In the first column, what is the value of X times Y? 12. 1 times 12 gives you 12. All right. In the second column, what is the value of X times Y? 12. In every column, what is the value of X times Y? 12. This is inverse variation. What's different about inverse?
You're multiplying the K.
Okay, you're multiplying these to get your K. What else is different? Very good. As one increases, the other decreases, or vice versa. All right, flip it over. The variables X and Y vary inversely for a constant K. This is the formula for it. Y equals K over X. So that's the second one I memorized. There's 2 formulas to memorize this week. So direct is Y equals K times X, and inverse is Y equals K over X. Okay? What is K called? Good, the constant of variation. As X gets larger, Y gets They do opposite, right? And as X gets smaller, Y gets larger. All right? In the work example, in the table, what was the value of K? Ooh, that's wrong, isn't it? What should it say? What did we get in the table right here? What should be the value of K? 12. So that's a typo. So in the work example, the value of K is 12. Okay? That's a typo. All right, once again, for inverse variation, what did they do here? They just got K by itself. So to get K by itself, you have to multiply by X. All right, so X times Y. Okay? All right, example 1, the variable Y varies inversely with X. So as soon as I read that sentence, I can write Y equals K over X. When X is 4, Y is 6, find the constant of variation and then write the equation that relates Y and X. So same thing, plug in your numbers. X is 4 and Y is 6. All right, so I'm trying to get K by itself. How do you reverse divide by 4? What's the opposite of dividing by 4? Multiplying by 4. So K is 24. Okay? So it said find the constant of variation. Did I do that? Yes. What did I get? 24. Write the equation that relates Y and X. What do you think the equation is going to look like? Y equals, very good, 24 over X. You're just plugging in 24 into the original formula. And then what about this one? What will the graph look like? Where's X? In the denominator. 24 over X, hit graph. Anybody remember what those are called? We did them last week. Rational, okay? So the graph is a rational graph. That's the name of that. Okay. What? All right. Again, you're welcome to work ahead now that you know how to do these. The variable Y varies inversely with X. So what is that formula? Y equals k over x. When x is 2, y is 10. So what will k be on this one? 20. And then write an equation that relates y and x. So y equals 20 over x. That's what the equation looks like. Okay. What will the graph of that one be? Rational. Okay. Example 2. The variable y varies inversely with x. When x is 3, y equals 12. Find y when x equals 2. Sorry, there's not much room for this one. All right, so inverse is y equals k over x. Y is 12. And x is 3. So what is k on this one? 36. So your equation is y equals 36 over x. Find y when x is 2. So you're plugging 2 into the formula. What's 36 divided by 2? 18. So that's the answer. The variable y varies inversely with x. Find when x is 3, y equals 6. Find y when x equals 9. So y equals k over x. Y is 6 and x is 3. That's what it told us right there. So multiply both sides by 3. 3 times 6 is? All right, so k is 18. That's your constant of variation. So now plug that back into the original. Y equals 18 over x. So that's the formula for this problem. And step 3, figure out what they want. Find y when x is 9. So y equals 18 over 9. What's y going to be? 2. All right, the variable y varies inversely with x. So as soon as I see that, y equals k over x. When x is 10, y is 5. How do I get k by itself? What do I do? Times by 10. And so k is 50. So y equals 50 over x. All right, and this one, you got to be careful. What are they telling you on this one? Y is 2. All right, guys, let's look at this one. How would you solve this? Good. Get x out of the bottom, multiply by x. We kind of did this last week when we were doing ones. On the bottom, we had things like x plus 2 or x minus 1, and we'd have to multiply by the denominator. So I get 2x equals what? 50. And then what do? Divide by 2. So x is 25. X is 25. Questions? All right, last one. In order to keep a seesaw balanced, the heavier person must sit closer to the fulcrum. The distance from the fulcrum varies inversely, so that would need to be circled or highlighted on the exam. Varies inversely with the weight of the person. Which table represents the possible weights and the distance that would balance the seesaw? All right, guys, so varies inversely. What formula is that? Y equals k over x. When you're doing a table, you want to get k by itself. So how do I get k by itself? How do I get k by itself on this one? Times by x. So k is x times y. So look at the steps I did. Inverse variation is this formula. Do y'all agree with that? And then in this formula, if I was trying to get k by itself, I would do x times y. Okay? So now let's look at our tables. And we're going to do x, that's this column, times y, and see what we get. All right, x times y. So 72 times 5. 72 times 5 gives you what? Say it again. 360. All right, now 90 times 4. Look, I'm multiplying these. 90 times 4. Does that give you 360? Okay, 120 times 2. No. No. So when you're doing a table, if it varies inversely, you should be able to multiply all of these, and should you get the same value for k? Because what is k called? Constant. What does constant mean? Stays the same. So when you multiply these, you should get the same number. So does A work? No. Okay? 100 times 4 is 400. 90 times 3.6. Is that 400? 90 times 3.6. No, that's 324. Okay, so it can't be B. C, 90 times 8 is what? Somebody, 90 times 8? 720. 120 times 6? 160 times 4.5? Thank you. And 200 times 3.6. So does this one work?